The rollout of Nigeria's third attempt at a national air carrier, Nigeria Air, has been anything but smooth. The transition from conception to execution has taken an unusually long period of time, and every step has been filled with backlash and scandal. Now, Federal High Court sitting in Ikoyi, Lagos, has issued an injunction restraining the federal government and other parties from executing the proposed national carrier, Nigeria Air. In addition to this, about 8 local airlines and their association took the government to court in the country's federal capital territory, listing Nigerian Air, Ethiopian Airlines, Minister of Aviation Hadi Sirika, and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, as defendants. So, joining me to discuss this is Olumide Omayo, an aviation analyst. Thank you so much for joining us on Business Edge.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Now, several of Nigeria's aviation stakeholders were actually averse to the process leading to the bidding and the launch of Nigeria Air. But now a court injunction has restricted Nigeria from going ahead with the process of launching it. What do you think this court verdict is set to achieve?
Well, I think what the airline operators of Nigeria tend to achieve is to stop the Honorable Minister of Aviation, who is hell bent on proceeding with the process, despite the opposition from industry players, stakeholders, and Nigerians in general. If you've been looking at the media in the last 4-5 weeks, there's always been knocks and knocks for the process. And looking at the last retreat of Mr. President, whereby he said the airline was going to commence, and I was counting as one of his achievements, and the minister is also taking the box as a part of his roadmap that the airline was going to launch. And then with the opposition and the industry and all points being made, the minister is hell-bent. So I think they just felt, well, the other way they could stop the minister from going ahead with this plan was to head to the courts and get an injunction. And surprisingly, about 24 hours before that injunction, the minister was heard saying he did not see any rational cause hindering the plan. But finally, there's an interim injunction. Let's see whether the government will obey it or not.
Well, then, do you think that the stakeholders have a case in this? Because they mentioned several discrepancies leading to the process bidding. And of course, they said they weren't carried along and all that. But the aviation minister came out to say that the process was transparent. So do you think that what the stakeholders are asking for is justified in any way?
Very well justified. Very well justified. I can tell you, Ghana, a neighboring country here, just gave the bid to a Ghanaian airline, and 4 airlines applied. Two from Ghana, Egypt Air, and Ethiopian Airlines. And towards the end, Ethiopian Airlines was dropped. The one and the Ghanaian airline was dropped. It was the Ethiopian airline and the Ghanaian airline that went for the last slot, and it was the Ghanaian airline that won it. Now, look at the country. We are much bigger than Ghana. Ethiopian Airlines operate into 4 different cities in Nigeria. So also other airlines, they all have gone beyond the bilateral services agreement, asking for extra routes and frequencies into our different cities. Lufthansa, they all operate into BA, they operate into Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, even Enugu, and Kano. So now you don't wonder if all these airlines are always eager to ask for more frequencies, to ask for more entry slots into your country. Why are they not interested in partnering your own airline to start a viable carrier that will operate on international routes? Is it because you have opened up too much, or because you have shown that you cannot be trusted? There must be a reason. Now, to tell us that when you advertise, it was only Ethiopian Airlines that bidded, shows there was something wrong with the process. Ab initio. If they're all interested in frequencies, if interested in increasing entry points, they increase their aircraft size that they use to operate to the country. Why are they not interested in participating in having a national carrier that would compete on international route? Because something is wrong with the process in the beginning, and also something is wrong with the process of us giving routes, giving frequencies without taking the necessary precautions to save the country, and that's why we're in this problem now. And today, none of them have come for your advert. You had only Ethiopian Airlines, and then you're going on with the process. You cannot go ahead with the process with one person, and it was only one person. Something was wrong, and you must try and address it. And today, what we are saying in that deal is that deal has more of personal interest than national interest. You are trying to give out the bilateral services agreement of Nigeria, the Commonwealth of the nation, what belongs to the country, to an airline, to selected individuals that not come through a bidding process, and you want people to sit down and accept it? No, I am one of those who's against the deal, and I don't think Ethiopian Airlines deserves it. Moreover, what we have seen in the continent, about 8 to 7 airlines, about 7 to 8 airlines that Ethiopian Airlines are partnered with in the continent are mere subsidiaries. They are mere glorified domestic operators. They only operate on the domestic market and feed into the Ethiopian network, and that's what they're going to do. We can't be like that. We have about 9 viable domestic carriers. After COVID, we have launched 4 airlines: ValueJet, Green Africa, United Africa, and and the airlines are there today. So why would we now carry the whole investors who are in the industry and say we are going aside? We are starting with Ethiopian Airlines, and Ethiopian Airlines is giving us 3 leased aircraft. When the law says for all the new operators, every one of them brought their own aircraft owned, not leased. Now we are starting our own national carrier with 3 aircraft leased from Ethiopia. So we're leasing aircraft from them. We pay for the aircraft. We're going to lease crew. We're going to lease management staff. So what are we getting in the deal?
But then the aviation minister said that the whole process was open and transparent, and based on the performance of Ethiopian Air, it emerged as the preferred bidder, as looking at other local operators. So what is the point here in terms of performance?
Ethiopian Airlines was the only bidder. So but how would they not have emerged? Ethiopian Airlines was the only bidder. So how would they not have emerged? What the minister should tell the world is why was it only Ethiopian Airlines that applied? Why was it only Ethiopian Airlines that trusted the process? And how did the minister get the other Nigerian investors? Did he advertise for Nigerian investors to come in? How did he get Nigerian investors? The MRS and SACO. And if you look at the MRS investment, it's owned by a majority shares owned by a foreigner. So how many shares belong to Nigeria in that airline? In that new carrier? And you see, from the beginning, they've made some errors, and as we're criticizing, they're adjusting it. They were supposed to start with 3 wet-leased aircraft. That's what they were supposed to start with. And I said, how can you start 3 wet-leased aircraft when you say you want to employ Nigerians? So the aircraft is going to come with all the crew. Then it was changed to dumplings. Dumplings means having Nigerian and Ethiopian crew. Then also they told us the sovereign account. Sovereign account was having 5% of it. Sovereign, and I said, if sovereign will have 5% plus 5% of government, that means 10%. But you said you have only 5% of government. So that was changed again. And said sovereign came out and denied they were not part of the program. And now look at the management list. Almost all are taken by the Ethiopians. And we said, and this is supposed to be our own national carrier.
So Olumide, is there a fear? I'd like to know, is there a fear that there's a dominance of the Ethiopian airlines coming into play in the domestic market? That's why the operators are standing stiff and saying, no, we cannot accept this process.
Exactly. And I don't mind if Ethiopian Airlines comes in and start an Ethiopian Airline Nigeria Limited, owned by them on the domestic. It is allowed. They can take it. They can operate an Ethiopian airline carrier within Nigerian airspace. You just have to register it as a Nigerian company, employ Nigerians, and start that one. But you cannot come and take a national carrier, take an international route. With the advent of coming of this single air transport market, they are asking Ethiopian Airlines now to come and take both the Ethiopian market and come and take the Nigerian market, and that we see that's unfair. That's unfair. Investors in Nigeria. So those investing in the new Nigeria cannot be privileged, cannot be protected against those who have been sacrificing and who have been putting their money on ground, who were with us before COVID, who stood with us during COVID when nobody was flying and things went down, and are still operating today. And 3 airlines have come after COVID strongly. Nigerians, owned by Nigerians, operating all the aircraft owned by Nigerians, not leased. And then you would not be rumors come and give us this aircraft and say we should start business, and you now give them an international route. That is not fair.
All right, to be patriotic now, even as we look at this issue, now, do you think, or are we not looking at a case whereby this court injunction can or may just lead to another demise or an end to the Nigerian dream to own another airline? Remember that there was also a bit about Virgin Atlanticas at that time that of course did not come to the light of the day. Is this another case whereby this dream will not see the light of the day?
Virgin Atlantic came. It saw the light of the day. It operated for some years, and before things went down. And again, we have to look at ourselves. It was because of the opposition to the privilege given to them to operate from international airports, do all the domestic flights there, while others are operating from domestic terminals, and also attracting more passengers to them because passengers going on international flights were always flying on them, and that was resisted by other domestic carriers. Now, this was going to happen. If you force this Ethiopian airline business on the country, I can tell you by May 31st, this business is going down. And what we are avoiding is, why should we sink money into a business that will end within a year? And it's in that process I align with the airline operators that they should go to that this judgment should halt that deal until when some things are corrected in favor of Nigeria. Nigerian Air should have national interest, not the personal interest or the interest of Ethiopians. It's the interest of Nigeria because they're going to use Nigerian routes, they're going to use the Nigerian Bilateral Services Agreement, and they're going to use the Nigerian call sign to operate this flight. So we must have our interest protected, and we must see that Nigeria is going to get benefit from it.
Well then, Omayo, Nigeria's domestic flight industry has been plagued with inefficiencies over the years. There have been a series of complaints, whether or not it's their fault, but it is what exists. Now, don't you think this kind of competition could just help put them on the edge to get the act right and, of course, improve on their operations and services, if you are to look on the other side?
The market is willing and happy to have more airlines come into the industry and compete. We need more airlines. Ghana Airlines has just returned to the market to compete. ValueJet has joined about 3 or 4 weeks ago to compete. Aero is coming back. Green Africa is here. United Nigerian Airlines is here. So Ethiopian Airlines can come and start a domestic carrier to compete. And like you said, they come and start a domestic carrier and compete. Go, they're welcome. Nobody's going to oppose that. You only need to have some Nigerians there, and they will employ Nigerians anyway. They will not bring Ethiopians here. You employ Nigerians anyway. Yes, they can come and start, but you cannot take a national carrier. The national carrier goes just beyond domestic routes. It goes beyond talking about the international routes. Our flag to represent us. Then at the end of the day, you're giving them whatever profit we make, we give them 49% of whatever profit is coming out of that airline. Now, what are they giving us in Nigeria in Ethiopian Airlines? Virgin Atlantic, when they came to partner with Nigeria on Virgin Nigeria, they offered Nigerians and Nigerian government 10% of Virgin Atlantic. But we never took up that shares. What is Ethiopian government giving to us? Now that they want 10% of our own airline, what are they giving to Nigerians in Ethiopian Airlines? We are Africans. We want to use the certain market, certain as a single African sky to fly to any city within Africa. You're going to use our market because we are the one that have the market. They don't have a domestic market. They don't have the population. They don't have people that travel. It is we that travel. And an aircraft without passengers and empty aircraft. So what is Ethiopian Airlines bringing to the table? What are we gaining from this? Obviously, it's not knowledge transfer. So what are we going to gain from it?
All right, I'd like you to also confirm this rumor that the transaction advisory firm that helped facilitate the deal was linked to the aviation. Is there any truth in that? Because I'd like to ensure that there's clarity in this entire discourse.
There are so many things linked to the minister, apart from the transaction advisor. Almost every contract, and that's not for me to confirm or deny. That's the investigative authorities and those charged with that in the Nigerian government, parastatals, EFs, and others do their job. But we are saying that this deal is not good, and we are also afraid that looking at barely 8 or 9 months to go, there's so many approvals coming into the Ministry of from the Ministry of Aviation involving contract. One is demolition of properties at the airport. Another is Abuja the second runway, and all these things are being approved with which sums of money. So that's one of the things that give us fear that while we have all these rush approvals, barely in the 90th minute, when you had 8 years, this is the seventh and a half year to do all these things, and you could not do them. And barely 6 months ago, all approvals are coming out.
Well, but you are making these allegations about frivolities and shortcomings here and there. Do you have facts to back up your claim that the federal government has not really been sincere and clear and transparent in this entire process? Are there facts?
Which of the process? Which of the process?
All right, so the process of contracts coming in that are not going through the right channels, and of course the bidding and every other thing that goes on within the airline and the federal government.
I have not said that they did not go through the process, but this is Nigeria. Even going through the process can be tweaked and twisted. to favor a particular person. But you see, like, like when you asked me to confirm if the minister owns this order, I said I cannot confirm that because I am not. I don't belong to any of the investigative body. Let them do their job. But we are not happy with the process. In a process of the Nigerian national carrier that will take all our bilateral air services, that have airlines operating, asking for extra frequencies, willing to operate in Nigeria, and none is interested in partnering with the government in starting that airline, shows there's something wrong with the process that could only produce Ethiopian Airlines. That's my point.
Okay, now that there's an injunction that has been served, are you going to advise, or would you say that there's a need for the federal government and, of course, the aviation stakeholders to come to a round table to dialogue and see how they can put an end to this impasse? Or what do you think the next step would be after the court had given its verdict?
Well, the court has given its verdict, asking for an injunction. I expect the federal government to appeal that verdict, and I expect all other players, those involved in the Nigerian air deal, to obey the judgment of the court and stand down on further processing and continue with anything to do with the Nigerian air. Again, my pain is the judgment might not only affect Nigerian air; it might also affect some other investments that require foreign investors within the aviation industry, because we will now look very unstable and cannot be trusted. So people will not trust us now. Looking at what has happened in Nigeria, the opposition and the minister going ahead and making an demand without giving any room for dialogue or see how we can resolve the issues raised by stakeholders. So my fear is it might affect other investments within the aviation sector, and people might probably will want to hold on, or maybe after the new government has come in, before they proceed with further discussion and investment in the Nigerian aviation industry.
Okay, so now is there a possibility that the local airline operators and Ethiopian Airlines can form a partnership agreement on this? And if that can happen, do you think that the court case will be dropped? Is there a possibility?
Yeah, if once we notice that the Ethiopian government, Ethiopian Airlines are ready to make us look like partners, not what we have now, that we're a subsidiary of Ethiopian Airlines, and that's it's killing. That's killing the spirit. That's devaluing us. We have more domestic airlines than Ethiopia itself. We have of all the countries I've invested in, we're the only country that has a vibrant domestic market. All the other countries don't have a domestic market. We have a domestic market with about 8 or 9 airlines operating. We have met with all certification. So if the deal is strict to ensure that national interest is protected, we see that we have partners where Ethiopian Airlines has shown that they are ready, not as shown as are ready to come down from that stairs and discuss like partners, not like the subsidiaries that they've made us look like.
So that is to mean that local operators are open to partnership, and that would also mean that there will be some sort of improvement in terms of competition, healthy rivalry, if you can put it that way, and of course Nigerians can benefit from this. Is that what your postulation is, meaning?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
All right, thank you so much, Olumide Owanyo, for joining this conversation. We hope that Nigeria and, of course, the federal government and, of course, all the stakeholders involved will be able to come to a round table to look at how they can solve the problem, because what is most important is to see an improvement in the value of operations in Nigeria in terms of its aviation industry. We appreciate your presence.
Yeah, thank you. But you see, like you said, if you look at the domestic market now,
okay,
the ticket fare has started dropping. Why is it dropping? Because you're having more capacity. Dana has come in. Valid has come in. That's brought more seats. Some of the aircraft that were parked have started operating, and that has brought down the fare a bit. Then with the Naira getting a little stability, though we're not where we are supposed to be. But if you look at the international route, we do not have capacity. It's only the international airlines that are operating, and that's why the tickets fares are high. And you can be sure that those traveling for Christmas this year would face this same huge fares. So we want more capacity. So it's not about Nigerian Air. We need about 2 or 3 Nigerian airlines to start operating in the international routes. They should designate airlines and stop holding people down because of Nigerian Air. They should designate carriers to start operating international routes. So our fares will come and Nigerians will believe in Nigerians.
All right, all right. Thank you so much, Olumide. I can see that you're passionate about this, and that is how so many Nigerians are feeling as of now. But we hope that some sort of conclusion, logical conclusion, can come by the way of this discussion. Thank you so much for joining us.